When you're joking around with your friends at a party, do you ever worry about going too far, saying something that might offend people? How about if you're playing the Jackbox Party Pack? Lots of opportunities to offend people there. We're going to decide if our defendant today is guilty of doing just that, plus more? Stay tuned to find out. What you are listening to is real. The parties involved are not cool. They are actual geeks with a case pending in the court of public opinion. The party's case has been dismissed, and the dispute will be settled here on our podcast. There will be no lawyers. There will be no witness testimony. The judge's decisions are final.
Hello, I'm Judge Ivan.
I'm Judge Jonathan, and this is Geeks on Trial. Today's case, Jackbox Party Foul.
Hello and welcome to Geeks on Trial. This is the podcast where we settle petty disputes between actual geeks over movies, video games, board games, and more. If you'd like to submit your own case for a future episode, you can email us at geeksontrial@gmail.com. You can also help support the show over at patreon.com/geeksontrial. For just $5 a month, you'll gain early access to both audio and video episodes, plus Geeks on Trial Sidebar, fun show, fun people, fun times, fun wheels that will be spun.
All right. You got through that one.
Mostly. It's there.
Relatively unscathed.
Yeah, it's fine.
Our latest sidebar episode, we talk about books we remember reading in high school.
And which ones were our favorites. And boy, it's a real test of, do our memories still work after this many years?
Yeah. What was it about again?
Movies that we watched while on a bus.
That's what it was. Bus movies.
Bus movies.
Speed.
Mm-hmm.
Not Speed 2.
No. Midnight Cowboy? They're on a bus at the end?
Okay. Mm-hmm. I mean, at the end.
At the end, not the full.
Is that The Graduate? Is he on a bus at the end?
Yeah. What are other bus movies? There are other bus movies?
Dark Knight with the Joker, all the school buses.
Yeah. I'm sure there's a movie called The Bus.
I'm not sure that there is. Dirty Harry. When he or it's not. Is it is that called? Is the first Dirty Harry movie called Dirty Harry?
It might be. I don't know. Where
he the bad guy has a bunch of kids hostage on a bus.
Oh, there you go. Were they on a bus in another movie? Inception? Oh. That wasn't a bus.
They weren't. Nope. They weren't. We named all the bus movies.
all the bus movies. And if you would like to let us know what bus movies you enjoy, please let us know in the comments. Until next week. Oh, this wasn't the bus episode?
Folks, we didn't really plan a topic to discuss before our trial today.
I thought it was buses.
Well, it was going to be buses. That was one of the things we were throwing around. Some things happened in the past week that are going to be kind of dated by the time this episode drops. We could have talked about Gamescom. We could talk about the Nintendo Museum, which they showed off. That's not open yet, but it's going to be in Japan. I don't know. We could have a casual conversation. We could just chat for 5 minutes.
Let's talk about the museum.
Kind of an icebreaker. It's awkward.
What did you think about the Nintendo Museum in Japan?
Well, you can check out this video for anyone who missed it, but Miyamoto himself, the creator of Mario himself, showed off the Nintendo Museum that's going to open soon. Mm-hmm. And I thought it looks really fun and really cool. It's got some cool, of course they have just a standard history of Nintendo objects, all the consoles, games, that kind of thing. But they also have some kind of interactive activities that looked really neat, like giant game controllers.
I loved watching the people in that video struggle to use the Wii and the Wii U controllers. It was like they're like the size of me, and like trying to lift them to move, and it was cool because like somebody had to create those, but like it's just awkward as hell. And I bet you any money it's going to be quite hectic in that room when kids are involved.
Yeah, I wonder because I don't know. I wonder if they'll. Yeah, well, right now, at least at opening, I believe it's not only is it ticketed, you have to enter a lottery to be selected to get entryway to it.
Okay,
because it's gonna be so, which is similar when I was in Japan. I went to a Nintendo store that just opened. Mm-hmm. It was literally the day before I left. It had opened like that week.
Oh wow!
And you had to, in America, you go to any kind of a store, really. You could just go there, right? When it opens. I had to go underground into the train station tunnels, and they have a whole Nintendo thing, and someone was like handing out tickets. You had to go up to a person, get a little stub with a time on it, and go back at that time.
That
And if you
that
didn't get
wasn't
there, and by noon they were out of tickets, like you were done.
that
So,
you got some kind of scam. You have
well, I did have to fillet a guy,
right.
but
Well, that's what Nintendo's all about.
he was dressed like Mario,
Right.
so I thought it was fine. I didn't say anything suspicious about
You
it.
had- you'd,
So I think in Japan, I don't know if it's because they're more, it's a smaller country and more people are just like
Right.
packed in there and wanting to do all this stuff, or if they'll try to keep it kind of calm.
Well, that makes sense too, because like you don't want like because there's some old stuff in there. The building itself is kind of cool. It's the original headquarters for or manufacturing of old Nintendo. So they probably don't want thousands of people stomping around this building and breaking stuff. But the entire museum just looks cool in general. You start on the second floor, and you look at all the
At
history
least
of.
they did. I don't know if you have to start.
Well,
On the
it
second
makes
floor.
sense. Like, look at the history, then go downstairs. But the upstairs is like, okay, it's cool. You get to look at all the old games behind glass. The downstairs is where the party happens. They have, like you said, they have the interactive stuff. I love that there's rooms that you can go and play the baseball game that they have, the little pitch machine.
There's like an old toy Nintendo used to
Yeah.
make that shoots out ping pong balls, and each room looks like an old like 70s or 80s Japanese living room.
And you have to
which I
like,
thought
if
was
you
really
hit
cool.
stuff, you get points, and it like interacts with you, and like you hit the TV
That's
with a
fun.
ball, the TV plays something, and then we'll see the shooting gallery. That was super cool.
Yeah, it's like the light gun, like Duck Hunt,
Right.
only with a whole wall of stuff happening. You can also design your own Hanafuda cards, which are the playing cards
Right.
Nintendo originally made. I think there's probably more stuff that they didn't show
Right.
yet.
Because it seems like
But
a
it's
large
neat.
location, and they look like there was like stuff outside you can view as well. Like I'm sure they have some kind of gardens and different things outside of the building as you wait to go inside. And is that now when you went? Did you actually go to the Nintendo headquarters?
No, they don't do like tours or anything at the actual Nintendo headquarters.
Which makes sense because it's a working office. But I'm just curious if like
Yeah.
you just went not drove by, but like happened to view it just for.
No, I didn't. That's one pilgrimage I didn't make, but I think this is close to that. I think they're
I'm
all
assuming
in
it
Kyoto.
is, yeah. So I'm
Yeah.
wondering if it's like on the same property or something of the building.
Who
But it
knows?
seemed
I don't.
really cool. I love that he walked us through it, and he's like told us when he started working for the company, he was like, "Oh, I started making this toy," and he was able to go in and
Oh yeah.
because
That's the crazy thing about having Miyamoto is he's actually been there almost the whole time.
well, and that's one thing about Nintendo is they keep a lot of their people. Like, yeah, there's new people over the years, but like,
Yeah.
unless you die, you're with the company forever. Which means like
That's the one little
it's the one thing they
Don't
can't
die.
help yet. But they like they must treat their people right. If they stayed there all of his working adult life, he's been at Nintendo.
I think that's another thing that's very. I mean, that sometimes is true of an American, not politics, but corporations as well. That the older generations now stick around forever. But in Japan, I feel like there's also more of a culture of. We respect our elders and they have teachings to pass down
Right.
to the new generations and they'll stay on even if it's like a supervisory role, which is kind of what Miyamoto is now. He's not really designing
Creating
games.
anything.
Not too much. He's more sitting back and consulting and stuff.
But he's also like a spokesperson too at this point.
a little bit. Yeah, a little bit. But it's cool. It looks neat. It's another reason to go back someday. to
Well,
that
I've never been. I definitely
magical country.
do want to go, and now it seems like Nintendo is blossoming into like,
Finally.
oh, we're doing theme parks, we're doing this. Like it's like where all these other corporations, like gaming companies, cartoons, it was like the second thing they did was like, okay, make it big. Now let's make a theme park or whatever. And Nintendo's like, we'll take our time. We'll get there eventually. And what did he say? It was like 127 years ago they built this building and now they're using it for a museum. Like Nintendo
Them.
takes their time. And for good or bad, but it's usually for the better.
They're not taking their time now. I mean, we got movies. We already had mobile games.
Right.
It's everywhere. They're permeating every form of media basically that exists at this point.
And at this
Lego.
point, the only Nintendo thing I've ever done in person was the one in New York City. I've done. It used to be the Pokemon Center, and then they just turned.
That's all we have in the States.
Right. Is that
other than now Hollywood.
Is there anything
in
in Richmond where Nintendo of America is?
Richmond,
Virginia.
Virginia?
No, Seattle.
they're in Washington. Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's in Richmond?
I think it's Richmond's.
Oh,
it's a town in.
Oh, okay. It's just a different Richmond.
Right.
I
Not
don't
Virginia.
know. Is that true? Can we fact check that?
Give me
Doesn't
a
matter.
second.
It's. I think you're right. It's something with an R. I don't know if it's Richmond though. But yeah, I know they're out. I don't think there's any. Yeah, like I said, you can't do. They don't do tours. They don't do tourist stuff.
Redmond, Washington.
Redmond. There
Close
you go.
enough.
You're close. You were pretty close.
Hey. But like, I wonder if because like that would make sense to have
They did
something
announce
there.
They are opening another Nintendo store in somewhere on the West Coast, L.A. or San Francisco. I think.
And the one in New York, like because it's in New York City, it's not huge. I mean, it's not teeny. It's a 2-floor place. But for what it is, it's not. It's not a crazy Nintendo place. But it is cool that everything is Nintendo down to like the doorknobs. Like they over theme everything, and I like that.
I hate it.
Well,
all right, that's enough talk about
fucked.
Nintendo. Hey, that kind of talk is really not
Oh
necessary.
no, I'm telling you to go out.
As judges, we need to keep a certain level of respect and decorum in our courtroom to set a good example for the listeners, the viewers.
You said you went under a tunnel and got tickets for something. I don't know.
That was a different time. I've changed since then. I've evolved. I've grown up.
Okay.
A lot. I've done a lot of reflecting in the last 5 minutes, and I've really come to a new place.
How long? 5 minutes.
5 minutes, yeah. Since I said that thing about blowing a homeless man dressed as Mario. Let's now talk about the case for today. It comes to us from the internet. You can find a link in our episode description if you're so inclined. Our defendant today is Nate. Nate likes to get together with friends from time to time, don't we all? And in this particular scenario, he has found himself doing just that, playing a game of Quiplash. If you're not familiar, it's a game from the Jackbox Party Pack series of video games. Simple party game. Everybody enters in a prompt that responds to a question, and everyone else votes on which one they like the best, usually which one they think is the funniest. These prompts are entirely open-ended, so there's nothing stopping Nate, for instance, from writing a few more risque answers, which he does. Problem is, this group of friends all went to a conservative Christian school together, and with the exception of one close friend who was in attendance, none of the other people are too amenable to Nate's slightly raunchier punchlines. After writing, quote, "harder, daddy," end quote, as one of his answers, the rest of the group shuns him and chastises him for taking things too far. As dual judges here on Geeks on Trial, it's now our job to determine whether Nate deserved the hate or if his mates are out of date. Comments? You have something to say about that?
No.
Okay, that's what I thought.
We've played a lot of Jackbox, and boy...
Oh, we've jacked the box.
Oh, boy, speaking of, we get foul, and it happens. You put a group of people like-minded in a room with open-ended prompts, we're gonna say, harder, daddy, at least once.
Well, this is, yeah. Yes, Jackbox Party Pack. I think everyone watching this is going to know what these games are.
Mm-hmm.
They've pretty well permeated the mainstream.
Yeah.
Especially, they really skyrocketed during the pandemic.
Well, they had to.
They had to.
It
was a way for people to do stuff together online.
Right.
They are I think they're a great thing to do if you have a lot of people. They're very casual, sort of a video game.
Right. You can use your phone.
Experience. Right. Most people do.
Well, I mean, you don't need a controller. You don't need to pass around
Right.
anything. It's your own device, which was during pandemic and even the months after pandemic when we were still getting together. It was still a nice way to be like, maybe don't touch my stuff with your germs. Use your phone.
That's right. Yes, you don't have to pass a card to each other.
Right.
I suppose that kind of helps. But yeah. So now this year, of course, they're releasing the naughty Jackbox
Yes.
pack.
Which has come up in conversation between us and our friends, and
We're always talking about naughty stuff.
we're always talking about daddies. So, like within the conversation that we had, we think that the naughty edition doesn't need to be around because you can take anything. This is an open-ended game. You could do what, like, I feel like the questions for the naughty edition are going to be like stupid naughty or like Cards Against Humanity kind of thing, which is kind of why I've also stopped playing Cards Against Humanity because because Jackbox, you can kind of like actually play the game and there's a game built around it, where like certain games where it's like the mature edition are just stupid to be stupid.
Yeah, it's that category of humor can be funny. It can also be grating or juvenile or
Well, it could be funny.
It's a fine line.
It could be funny, like if we pepper an answer in, but like if it's not like the point of the game, because usually like when it's the point of the game, it can kind of be a little much.
Then it feels like we all, what to expect. We all know what we're doing here. I don't remember what there's only 3 games in this naughty version. One of them is a new version of Faking It, which is about like lying and answering questions.
Well,
so I assume they'll be like,
that title just works.
how many people have you slept with? That kind of thing.
Well, that's the voice they're using too. How you doing, kid?
Yeah. It's, who was that? That was Beetlejuice is what that was.
Well, actually, yeah. Yeah. Coming out September.
Well, we're not supposed to, but yes, it is. We have been paid to say that.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I understand the idea of why they're doing it because I think they saw the research that, so many people write naughty answers.
Right. Why not?
Don't we specifically cater to that group? I am curious to find out, like, will this sell as well? Will it bomb? Will it be a big hit for them?
But that's always the thing with me is like, I always like my type of comedy. Like I'm usually never like I'll watch like movies that are like the raunchy comedy, but I always like when something's like innuendoed or like, you turn something into something, which is why Jackbox or even like drawing games or just like games like that are funny because you have to work harder. It's not just, working blue. Is that what they say?
That's the thing you could say.
Just, making a fart joke to make a fart joke, like.
Oh, come on.
Exactly. See?
Keep it classy, please.
Right.
Which, to be fair, I don't know. We haven't played this new Jackbox. Maybe it has some of those elements. Maybe it's fun.
But isn't this aren't all Jackbox, like, they have a kid mode and adult mode, don't they? Like,
well,
or mature
mode. They'll like censor. They have an option where if someone writes in a swear word or something, it'll be censored.
So then
they don't really have like dirty. Like I think these are specifically geared towards.
Like the cards are going to be like raunchy.
Yeah, the prompts, the questions, whatever it is, are going to have dirty stuff in them. Right. I'm sure it'll still be.
So you just went
silly
that
and
voice.
tongue in cheek, but
you just went right to that voice. I don't know.
I know, dirty stuff in them, Lydia. I don't know, but well, it's gonna come out. We'll find out how it does. I'm kind of relieved personally because it means I really don't want to buy this.
Right.
So it's just kind of, I don't have to think about it. That's their Jackbox this year. They've already done so many.
Right.
Maybe like they've reached a point where they feel like they can do more specific niche stuff like this.
They've done this this year. They announced this and the pack, right, where you can like have them all in one place.
Right, but that's not, you don't buy that. It's not like that's.
Oh, okay. They're not making you purchase anything for that.
That's just a launcher.
Okay.
Yeah, that's not like a thing you buy.
Now, I think we should buy the naughty version, the dirty version, and play it clean. That's we to flip it.
That's the goal is you have to write the cleanest, most innocent prompts you can.
It's reverse. Yeah.
Now, as you say, when you're playing any kind of Jackbox, especially I would say Quiplash. Any of these ones where you really just write in your own answer.
Right.
Fibbage tends towards this, which is where you're trying to write answers to a question that you want to convince people are the right answer, the real answer. Yes, as you said, you can tend to get dirty responses, inappropriate responses, especially with a group of I mean, anybody. It's going to be teenagers, adults. You're drinking.
Well, that's
you're
the thing. Like, usually our games start out fairly tame, and then it's like, oh, the more comfortable we get. I said fairly. The more comfortable we get, it's more like, yeah,
See, it's because I've reached a point in Jackbox where the dirty joke has to be. You got to work for me
right,
to vote for it. You got to work for it because I feel like a lot of times, if there's two answers that you can choose from, and one person wrote a somewhat clever pun or
right,
something, and the other person just writes a dick joke,
right.
a
Then that,
lot of people will just vote for that dick joke, like
right.
no matter what.
Well, we
and
play with
and
a
I'm kind of
lot
like,
of
come on.
we play with a lot of immature people. Us,
But
us
I think this
as
is right. We're
us as
very
high
mature.
intelligent comedy writers. Really,
Now listen,
we don't play that way.
sometimes the dick joke
Oh, it's funny.
is right.
Oh, it's fun.
But it's like again, it's a fine line. You really have to read the room and know
Right,
when is it funny, and sometimes it's just even when it's funny, if you do it 10 times in a row,
right.
it's boring.
Or they keep harping on one. That's usually when you can tell. Okay, time to put the game away. Well,
Yeah.
because sometimes you need to play the guzzling Pac-Man card. Sometimes it works.
Right. Cards Against Humanity.
Right.
Yeah. The other thing that I'll often I'll try not to vote for in Jackbox because I feel like they're just the easy ways out. Sometimes I'll do them though. It's like any mention of Donald Trump
Yep.
or writing down someone else's name who's in the room playing
Right.
the game with you right now. I just feel like they're just the easy choice. It's the hey, I couldn't think of anything, so this is just the go-to thing
Now, are
that I
there?
know works.
You know, we played this game basically every version quite a bit since it's come out. Are there any things that annoy you when people in the group room do them? For me, like I'll start off not using real names for certain games.
I always say that every time we play.
Just
I
because
always
it's
get
like I
mad.
need to like sometimes it'll be like okay, it's funny, I can kind of guess who it is, but it's like when there's like 10 to 12 people in a game or whatever, it's like no, but seriously, who is this?
Yeah, right. And to clarify, you're talking about your username that you play with, not
Right.
like in a prompt or something.
Right. Like yeah.
Um, yeah. I need to be able to know who I want to vote for based on their
Right.
popularity, based on how much I like them, as opposed
Right.
to how funny their answer actually
Yeah.
is.
Or if it's like if I
Yeah,
don't like that person, I'm one sorry.
some games it actually is annoying because there are a few games where you actually need to know the
Right.
person's name. Like the prompts might actually use their name specifically, and
Right.
if you're like, "Who the hell is that?" Then it's confusing. But yes, or at least the consistency. Like you don't have to use your real name, but like at least
For the night, you're
if you're not going to use your handle, your internet handle or
Right.
something. I don't know. Yeah, I get that. I mean, I said a couple of mine, which are the jokey joke answers. Obviously, misspellings and grammar errors.
well, yeah.
But those don't always irritate because in Fibbage that's a plus
Thing.
because then I can tell it's a fake answer. That's a gives me a
Or was
leg
it
up.
another thing? It's like, oh, you they gave you 45 minutes. You don't need to use that entire timeline.
Right. Yes, the amount of someone being very slow writing. You can change those in the options too. You can make the timers
You can.
shorter. Just no more time
No
for
more time.
you.
You're done.
But generally, we all have a fun time. And
We are fun people. Now, would you bring up? We're not. We're just bastards. Would you bring this to a family function? Have you ever tried to do Jackbox in a non-us group?
like with my church group or my
Right. Like when you go to
my
temple,
children.
do you just bring the TV
My
with
Buddhist
you?
temple.
Yeah.
No, I mean I never try to play any games with my family. I've given up
Right.
on that a decade plus ago.
So like
It's-
you don't get asked like, "Hey, bring a game with you" or anything like that anymore.
You kidding me? I wish. No, that no one in my family has an interest in playing games of
Okay.
any kind.
Because there'll be a few times where like people will be like, "Oh, bring a game with you," and I'll be like, "Okay." I mean, I'll usually bring like a family, like a game people know. Like my big one is like categories or like something like that. That like everyone
Which is
is
pretty
like
Jackbox adjacent, I would say.
right.
Like-
Or like if I owned any of the Jackboxes and people that were asking me new technology, that would be something I could do would be a Jackbox type thing because like it is pretty. Some of the games are pretty simple, pretty self-explanatory. There are some of the games that are very out there that like I think you have to have a certain nerd brain to understand or just get. But
Yeah,
in general,
a few of them are on the gamier side, although you could just mash buttons and
yeah, somebody
not know
can get
how they work.
right.
But yeah, so I mean, so have you? So you've never done
I don't.
Jackbox
Well,
with a family?
back in the day when You Don't Know Jack was a standalone PlayStation 1 game,
Right,
that
right.
was a family go-to.
Okay.
Because we just
Wow.
because like I feel like general trivia is always fairly safe with people. And yeah, I remember my sister had her first house. We would be in the basement and we would play You Don't Know Jack on the PlayStation 1.
I'm jealous.
I
Sounds like
love
fun.
I'll even play You Don't Know Jack alone. Like that's just a fun game.
Yeah.
I'm a trivia person.
All
like
right.
me a
Pop
trivia.
quiz, hot shot.
Okay.
What is the what company has the slogan "Quality is our recipe"?
Mm-hmm.
Come on, help me out on this one, Ivan.
Quality is our recipe.
Yeah, this is a company has this written on their sign.
Well, I'm gonna say KFC.
No, you're close. You're close.
Popeyes.
No, not that close.
McDonald's.
No,
I don't know.
I mean, that's not it.
That's not it.
It's Wendy's.
Wendy's. Well, I'll be close. Oh, yeah.
The reason I asked this is because, full disclosure, at this last weekend's game night, we played a silly party game, and that was one of my things I wrote was in relation to that, and no one else knew. Apparently, I'm the only person in the world who knows that's the slogan of Wendy's.
Now, but it's funny now that you say it. I know it's from Wendy's, but
yeah, I feel alone in this world. The only true Wendy's fanboy.
Sure.
I love Dave. I love the single. Anyway,
I think.
we're off topic.
I mean, this is going to date the show, but you can get a $1 Frosty today.
Well, yes. If it's one day only, then that is certainly going to date the show.
By the way, we don't record the day this comes out.
No, this isn't a live.
We're not
broadcast. Live. Anyway, moving on from that, however, yes, You Don't Know Jack, very fun.
What'd you say to
me? You heard me. That might be one of the few. I don't know that my family necessarily would.
My family.
Be into the Jackbox games, even if they or would get them. I think I also would be kind of worried. It depends on how you're playing with and how big a group it is. But there's the potential for some awkward. You might put in some jokes that it's like any kind of gathering, I think. You don't always know who's okay with what types of humor.
You have to play the room.
And it doesn't maybe even be racy or offensive kind of humor. Could be anything. I don't know.
Or
like some people don't like jokes about or like a reference, a pop culture thing or something, or just like a dead baby jokes.
Right.
Or something. As an example I can say on the air.
Right.
That still would be offensive to some people.
Do not come up in our game nights or our personal conversations ever. No.
Nope.
Not even once.
That's very taboo. We only play taboo. We don't say taboo stuff.
Well, I do play Dead Baby Taboo.
Dead Baby Taboo, which was a pretty rare edition. You got that on eBay though, so it's kind of a collector's item.
Just don't shake it.
But I mean, that's even like removed from Jackbox. What is your if you're in mixed company, say? Do you ever feel that awkwardness? Do you filter yourself? Do you think of a joke that you might say but you won't because there's a new person in the group? Or what's your stance?
Yes!
What's your policy on that?
100%. That's why most of my friends I have known for like 10 plus years. I can kind of let the weirdo out occasionally and make the stupid jokes and I won't feel bad. That's why even when people introduce new people to a party that we've been doing for a while, it's weird because I don't know what I can say in front of them. I don't know because I'll get canceled. I don't know.
But I think because I mean, yes, I mean, same. There's certainly, there's a certain threshold where you trust a friend to know that you're not actually, let's say, sexist
Right.
when you say
Right.
something that could
Exactly.
be perceived
Exactly.
as sexist. That could be for a man or a woman. I'm not talking about myself.
No.
I'm speaking in generalities.
No, you hate men.
Right. Or language. Or like a joke about blowing a homeless man dressed
Under
as
a bridge.
Mario,
Right.
say.
Maybe there's certain reasons why this podcast doesn't get shared to my personal
Right.
feeds.
Right. Grandma's not watching this one. It's
That'd be weird. She's dead.
Well, even more. Well, then she's up in heaven and she is watching it.
I don't
And she's
know about
like,
that.
"You're a sinner, my boy."
She might be looking up.
Oh, you're going straight down to hell, laddie. Is that your grandma?
Yeah.
Oh, you're all Mima's baking a fresh plate of soda bread for you when you die.
That's
Is that what she says? Yep.
Oh, they're Lucky Charms. They're magically delicious.
That's what I thought. This kind of a joke that could
Right.
be perceived as culturally insensitive
Which
by
we can
some
do.
people.
It's fine. We love it.
It's fine. And I think Jackbox games and Cards Against Humanity 2, even more so Cards Against Humanity.
Yeah.
Cards Against Humanity
No.
has a built-in shield because you can take that out at a party and you have the built-in defense of, well, I didn't write that. All I did was put a card down. That's not my fault.
I just thought about this because you mentioned Cards Against Humanity, and it brings back memories. Cards Against Humanity, it's back to school season now for a lot of colleges and universities, and a lot of schools and people will break out Cards Against Humanity as like icebreakers, and even a Jackbox if your school is lucky enough to have technology and TVs. Well, no, like in a common area.
Okay, sure.
These games are often used to bring communities together, but these would be the games where I'd be like, I can't be who I actually am in these games. Because like,
Interesting.
that's like family stuff aside. Yeah, everyone kind of like has like a guilty conscience around family playing this kind of stuff. But like when it's like, oh, this is your, I forgot what they call icebreakers. And these are the kind of things. It's like, yeah, of course you're going to put on a fake front for some of these icebreakers because you don't know who these people are. You don't want to be labeled as the weird guy right off the bat on your floor in a dorm or your church group.
Your two truths and a lie aren't going to be. I can't even. Right now, I'm filtering myself right now.
Yeah.
Live. It's happening right here in my head because I don't want to get got. Anyway, it's because I feel like for many people, it's almost the opposite, where I think you're more likely to some kinds of jokes that you might not feel comfortable saying out loud just in a conversation.
Right.
A game like Jackbox, you're not saying it out loud. You're writing it on a device, and yeah, your name's there. Maybe that's another reason you don't want to use your real name if you're embarrassed. But it's going up on a screen, and it's people aren't necessarily looking at you, and it's kind of like a way for you to be able to. I feel like Jackbox is probably for a lot of people kind of an opportunity for if you're also on the shyer side or just the quieter side.
Right, because you don't have to
way
be
for
like
you to-
sitting around a table and point things out. Right.
Your sense of humor can get across and be projected to the group in a way where you don't have to feel necessary. People might still feel uncomfortable about it, but at least a little less so. You're you're not quite in the spotlight. So I think that's why a game like Jackbox almost encourages a little bit more risque.
Right, because
humor.
you're kind of behind the screen. You're behind your keyboard in a sense of a way, but you are still like, okay, who said this? Like you can be like, if you say something really crass, they'll figure out who it was at some point.
Well, right. It is gonna, your name will show up.
Right. You can't just, hit escape and you're gone forever.
You could escape,
just run
and then never come back.
Right.
Then you lose that friend group.
But I feel like, so I've never been part of I'm not religious in any way. Wasn't raised religious, not baptized, not any of that. So like to me,
you weren't even bat mitzvahed?
Not bat mitzvahed. Nope.
Oh, okay.
Nope.
You never had a bris?
I'm having one tomorrow.
Oh, better late than never, I say.
Sometimes it's growing long. So, I don't know the awkwardness of going to a, what?
I just realized what you said.
Yeah,
Keep going.
Going to a religious thing like this, because there's definitely different types. Like going to a religious thing is definitely different than going to like a school thing.
Right. Well, so this is like they're not at a church, right? These are just kids that I think, we're getting the background of these people. By the way, they're like teenagers, they're younger. Right. Is that they come from a conservative Christian background.
Right.
So that's like the explanation of why generally these people are just more hesitant to like the crass humor. Of course, there's conservative Christian background people who aren't like that, but that's in this case
what do you mean?
It is. I don't know. I don't really know what I mean, but
I'm assuming they like all met via.
I think so.
Group,
yeah,
like a church.
Well,
group.
it's a Christian school, so I don't really know what that. I don't know how much that extends to church, or is that like the church owns the school, maybe? But do they? I don't know. I don't know if that necessarily means they have like Bible classes, or if
they
it's
probably
just
do.
Maybe I'm just truly ignorant of this area.
I only know because Danny, for the first up until middle school, went to a Catholic school, and every day there was a Bible class. So there was a class for reading and understanding and beating them to death with said Bible.
Yeah,
so
yes, with the ruler.
Yep. So
I mean, I'm sure those exist. Yeah, I know they exist.
Now, is there like you were raised partially Jewish?
Careful.
Is there a Jewish school? Like, is there like a Catholic school?
I mean, like I said, I'm sure they're out there. I'm sure there's like Hebrew school, like specifically, but it's not a.
Right,
it's like an extracurricular thing.
Right.
Yeah. I'm sure there are like Jewish communities, probably especially like in actual Orthodox communities where they have that kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, it's of course it's not as widespread just because there's not as many Jews as there are Christians. But
wait, what?
Yeah, run the numbers. I'll send you some stats later.
Okay.
But there used to be about 6 million more of them.
Huh.
See this? Yeah.
What happened?
I'll explain it. I'll explain it to you later.
2 truths and a lie. Go.
Anyway, what were we talking about? Yeah. So I don't know. So the religious aspect is maybe is at least some part of this whole thing. It's
right, because this group of people are trying to be nicer and not as outwardly crude, rude, all that kind of stuff.
They're just not comfortable with it. Not their thing.
Right.
Which is, like we've said, we hold ourselves to. I mean, we can talk about more of these specifics here. We mentioned the one.
Which one?
Which I can. So in Quiplash, I said the punchline, but I didn't tell you the prompt, which was a weird thing to say in a tickle fight. Okay.
Okay. And he answered. They answered.
His answer was, harder daddy.
Which, funny. That works.
I think that's funny. There's a chance
chuckled.
I would vote for that.
Right. There's a chance I would have written that.
And also like Jackbox kind of has some of this. So 2 of the other prompts that they mentioned in the case, one was the name of a sex position for ghosts.
Okay.
Another one was a fun activity that only requires 3 fingers.
Now we're talking about they're making a dirty
this is
version.
The game, right.
They're making a dirty version. These 3 questions are pretty rude, crude. Well,
around. I think, like you said, these are the innuendo. I mean, a sex position. It's not really an innuendo.
No, that's a sex position.
Pretty.
But like a tickle
up.
fight, like come on now. I mean, I might just have a filthy mind because
they know what they're doing. They know what you're gonna write. And he says in both those instances, the other people in attendance, who, by the way, he says are like aged 18, 19, like that's what we're talking about here. They just wrote no as their answer. They just refuse to engage with it.
No. Okay, so I do. Okay, so you do also have to like that. That's hilarious because you could also just say no works for a lot of these. I'm surprised they didn't write like a Christian, like a Bible verse. But
I'm gonna start writing no next time we play. No.
But that's also like, are you being too much about it? Like you just said no. No, you could have answered. Sorry, you could have answered a question. Like you could have put something in there that necessarily wouldn't have been as.
That's a real, like, the not being willing to engage with it on any
That's a
level
whole
like
different.
That's not just like, oh, I have a certain, I'm not that comfortable with edgy humor. That's like, that's maybe there's like some religious and childhood trauma
Yeah,
in your life.
no. These are
That's me casting a judgment, but
the
that's my
people
job,
that
so
said that said no during this are the kinds that have the protest signs when my group are somewhere. Like
it's very possible. I mean,
like
conservative Christian, there's
that's
certain...
the vibe I'm getting from this. Just to say no, because you could have. Hey, I know lots of Christians that are funny. You could just write something, make something. Roseanne Barr, Tom Arnold, Trump.
I don't even know if they're Christian.
But
Trump's kind of funny.
You can write something in there that's maybe not like, okay, maybe the sexual position one. That one might be a little hard to.
It's hard
around.
To get away from that, yeah. but like, then, what are you doing playing this game? Is also the question. Like that's not that uncommon. Like that's kind of the level you're working with here.
And if you're that religious to where things like this would bother you, that you would just write no. There's websites that will literally break down games, movies, TV shows, books to tell you which ones to burn. Because, you don't...
You don't need a website. Look at the rating right on the thing.
Well, that's it, too.
Whatever,
like, if it's rated teen for teen, there's
the
reasons
E10
for it. Well, no, they thought the T for teen was a cross. They thought it was a religious... rated Jesus for Jesus.
So you may be right. I think maybe later versions did have a... Make it very kid, like it would remove those prompts if you're playing with younger groups, because a lot of them are probably self-policing in that you can make it as clean or as dirty as you want. But again, that prompt, the ones we've said, clearly are leading you in a direction.
Yeah, well,
they
especially
probably shouldn't be playing this game.
The sexual one, like the one that literally is like what set, like that's literally a dirty question.
Yes,
like, I wouldn't.
right, yes.
Like if I brought this game to a family function and they asked that, I would take the game and walk out the door. I'd be like, goodbye, it's been great knowing you all.
Oops, the game crashed.
Sorry, why did it crash?
Sorry,
I threw my foot through the TV. I gotta go.
Oh, dang.
Dang.
So the question is, how much responsibility does the defendant in this case have in censoring himself based on his knowing the group versus them being overly sensitive to what he did or said?
See, that's an
the ultimate thing.
Interesting question, because like you bring Jackbox to a family function. You bring it to Thanksgiving, okay? Full families there, all your family members, your moms, your dads, your uncles, your aunts. Do you censor yourself? And do you think you have to, being around this group?
Yeah, I mean, like we said, yes, 100%. It's a million, 1,000,000%.
Okay, let's take your family.
If you're asking me personally.
Let's take your family or my family. Let's take family out of it. You're going to an event. An event with people maybe you don't know, or you might know a little bit. Just a full event full of strangers. Are you letting your full freak flag fly?
Right.
Flag fly. Or are you doing goody two-shoes, Jonathan, for this game?
Yeah, I mean, I think, because I was in this situation not that long ago, playing Jackbox with a group that some people I knew, some people I didn't. And nothing like this really came up, I don't think. Maybe, I'm trying to remember. But I certainly didn't. I think I can still kind of read the room and know what sort of the level is that everyone's comfortable with. Right. Or I can kind of know, maybe you poke it a little bit, like you dip your toe just over the line and see, and it's like, no one really laughed at that, so maybe I'll dial it back.
Now, do you have
or like everyone else, or you wait and see what everyone else
somebody
is
else gonna right.
Yeah, and you're like, oh, well, all their answers are filthy,
right.
So I see what we're doing here. Like, maybe now, in this case, it's weird because he says he's known these people, they're friends, right. So he should kind of know
and
what
also,
he's working with.
But they should also know him, because I'm certain this, like, if this is his personality via this game, these kinds of things probably have peppered into his daily conversation.
Again, in the scheme of things, Harder Daddy is like, it's not the most outrageous offensive
And
thing.
especially between the ages of 17 and 19. Like
Yeah,
this is when you're like you're hormonally all over the place. Like these are the kind they make TV shows based on this kind of shit for
yeah.
you.
So at this point, people were shocked when Clark Gable said "damn" in
Right.
Gone with the Wind. now there's this CBS coming this fall, Harder Daddy,
Right.
starring Kid Rock, and like that's just what.
Who else? Who else is in that show? I need to know who else is in that show.
Starring
Kid Rock.
And Tom Arnold.
That makes
And
sense.
Roseanne Barr.
And Roseanne Barr.
Yes, the line continually gets moved of what's acceptable in common culture.
Right. And that's why like I think it's okay for Nate to be making these jokes. If he made the joke and somebody was like, that's not okay, then maybe like peel it back. Like what you're saying about reading the room makes sense. We've definitely had this like at our group functions together where it's like, oh, there's a lot of people here I don't know, but if I know like maybe 50% of the people, I'm good. Because I'm not going to be the only freak in the room.
I'm trying to think, has someone else ever written something and you were offended or shocked by it in a Jackbox game?
It takes unless somebody like if one of my core friends of our group says a thing, I can kind of like they get away with a lot more stuff than like a stranger. Like if somebody like I didn't know threw down like a LGBT slur,
Right.
or like that, I'd be like, slow your roll. But like if one of our core people said something, it's like, okay, we kind of that's.
It really it depends a lot on context too, but like slurs are probably a hard line for me. If someone's dropping a racial slur,
Right.
I'm probably going, maybe don't invite that one back.
Right. Well, also, hey, Jackbox is a good test of like, okay, who else don't invite them?
But there's like, there's ways to maybe comment on things like racism and skirt those lines without necessarily being racist. And some people aren't capable. It goes both ways. Some people think that a racist joke is the same thing as a joke about race.
Right.
And some people think that like because it's a joke that the racism is okay no matter what. So like there's both sides to it where you have to really be careful. So I'm not like, oh, like I said, like I'm like you, it takes a lot to really offend me.
Right.
But there are, you can tell if someone's doing something that's just from a place of like, not cool, dude.
Well, that's the thing too. Like, and I'm sure you agree. If you were to say something offensive and a stranger were to say something offensive, I'd be like, it's fine. Like, but because I know,
like, I wouldn't just straight up like my answer wouldn't just be like slur.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it would be some kind of ironic, like Stephen Colbert-esque, like old Stephen Colbert-esque. Yeah. Like obviously I don't really believe whatever I'm writing. Right. It's couched in irony and all this stuff.
Right.
But it's, not everybody, you have to know who your audience is.
That's why for me, it's like, if there's like plenty of people in the room that like I've made these jokes with before, I can kind of like, I understand it. Where it's like, I feel like, Nate might have been the only person in this room that wasn't like literally reading a Bible as they're playing the game. Because like, I do think like literally writing no, I think that's trying too hard. That's like you're hiding some stuff that's going to come out in a few years.
Yeah. And also what Nate wrote, I suppose being very uncharitable to it. You could read that as being like, I don't know, about molestation or something, like child molesting. But I think the use of daddy, I'm sorry everybody for having to say this so many times.
I love
the
it.
use of that like has become divorced from that enough that it's not inherently about that.
But he's also like, he's not in a group for this. Like it's not, he's not in like a self-help group for people that had this issue potentially happen to them.
Oh yeah, they're conservative Christians. This is what they're all about. They're on the other end. This is what the priests are all doing.
Because, like I
Um,
said, you have to know how to read your room in gaming and life in general, just based on what you say. And he thought, oh, I'm in a group of high schoolers and early college kids,
mhm.
that these jokes are like the norm for the most part.
And he has one friend, he says, who gets his sense of humor, who he's closer with.
Right.
That is something too, where I feel like I would be much more inclined if I know that, like, there's at least one or two people that I do know well, and if I
Right.
make a joke that's maybe other people will be offended by, but as long as some people think it's funny, I
Well,
can hide behind them.
well, that's kind of what I was saying before. Like, if there's like a 50% line in that room, I can
Mm,
kind of like, because there have been
yeah.
like there have been times where it's like, oh, we've had big gaming events at the beach, and like there's a room that's like, oh, I don't know half of you people, but oh, Jonathan's there. I got this. I could throw a joke out there
Right.
and you laugh. I'm like, I'm with him. I don't know.
You get the one. All I need is one.
All I need is
That's
one.
all I need.
But like I said, with all of this, you have to be able to read, and I might be able to throw a verdict down.
Yeah, I think it sounds like we're circling around it.
So Nate goes directly to hell. He's done all of the terrible things. He's a
Hmm.
heathen. He can't.
Oh, his eternal soul is damned.
It's gone. He's
Forever.
damn. I mean, who's isn't? So I honestly don't think Nate is guilty of any of this. And this might just be my upbringing, my working in stuff that I work in, and just my overall comedy of having kind of some freedoms over the years of like, I can kind of watch what I want and not have any issues with it, but also having the good friend group that I do have that's like, if we all know each other, we all mesh well for the most part of like, if we make this joke, oh, I know it's not coming out of a place of hate. I know it's not coming out of them just being a general asshole. It's like we're trying to get each other to laugh because we know what works with our friend group, which, when you throw an extra person in there, it might seem weird. But Nate assumed he knew this friend group and his other friend was there. So I really don't think Nate is guilty at all of doing what he did. He did what a normal teen did, which was push the boundaries a little bit. And I think the people who just said no are a little much in my book. So yeah, not guilty.
Yeah, I flip flopped a little bit in this case, only from what I was saying about
Well, because you're a
reading
good
the
Christian.
room. I am a good Christian boy. Um, my bris is until next week.
Oh, very good.
Um, because there maybe like I don't know a ton about this group of friends or exactly how long they've known each other or how well they've known each other, but it does kind of sound like maybe if they're this hardcore conservative sheltered about this kind of stuff, it does seem like Nate should have known that and should have kind of understood that they would not be into even the slightest offensive joke. So that part is kind of confusing to me, but I mean, I do agree with a lot of what you said that maybe the fault is still on the rest of the friend group for choosing this game in the first place. Because when you're given this prompt, something weird to say during a tickle fight,
Right.
that is what the game is.
Right.
Like it's not like the prompt was what's your favorite fruit and he wrote like my dad killing himself. I don't know.
Well, he could have said my dad. That would have been a fun gay joke.
I know.
Charles
I
Nelson Riley. You could have
I
gotten
know.
Charles Nelson Riley.
But that's actually funny. I'm trying to
Oh.
let's say like, it's not like the prompt wasn't what's your favorite color and he just like, wrote a slur or something.
What's your
just
favorite
something.
color? The blood of
Right,
my
the-
enemies. It's like, oh.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sweating here. I'm trying to come up with a non-offensive one and all I'm doing is getting myself in trouble. Anyway, don't write. Please save your letters. Like it was what he wrote was within the bounds of the prompt reasonably.
Right.
And so I think he was just playing the game and didn't cross a line so much in my opinion. So while I do think there's some nuance here and maybe he should have just like played it a little safer, these people are clearly a bit, as you said, much. So I will ultimately come down on that side and call him not guilty. There you have it.
Because it's definitely it's be like, oh, let's take this game to my Christian group. What is it? Oh, Grand Theft Auto.
Right.
They
Well,
got
play Grand Theft Auto and they obey all the traffic laws.
Right. They get
and
upset when you
don't
shoot
run over
somebody. Like, come on now.
pedestrians. Yeah, they don't use weapons. They just like to enjoy the scenery and walk around and listen to the radio.
I would love to play Grand Theft Auto in like drive the speed limit, stop at every light.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's just called life.
That's that Bo Burnham song. He sings about that.
Which one?
That funny feeling from inside.
Mm.
Yep. It's not I don't have a joke. It's true. It's a lyric in the song. Lyric in the song.
Yeah.
We need to punish the rest of the group here.
I
if
think
Nate
Jesus
is innocent.
I think Jesus might be doing that.
Well, some maybe or Satan.
Satan.
I'm not sure exactly.
Punish the rest of the group. Well, I don't.
I think they be sentenced.
I think them playing games with Nate might be punishing enough to them already.
No, we need to take it. I think they need to play Cards Against Humanity with their immediate family.
Ooh,
and their pastor.
No, yeah, with their church group people.
Priest, pastor, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're the altar boys, choir, everybody.
Yep.
Yes. There's the sweet old neighbor who brings cookies to the church bake-off.
We call her Cookie. Masterson.
Cards Against Humanity. See how it goes. You can't. There's no hiding. You must choose a card. You must judge. You must read them all out loud.
Yep.
And like an hour. Let's just cap it in an hour. I think that's enough punishment. Right. But what will probably happen? They'll have a terrible time. But I bet the old church ladies would have a great
they're
time.
foul. They're the ones that were. Because look at people like Betty White. She looks so innocent. Look, now she's dead.
Right. Yeah, that's what happens. She went to hell. Folks, if you have an opinion about this case, a verdict you'd like to render that's in agreement or disagreement with the one we rendered, email us, geeksontrial@gmail.com, or if you're on YouTube, you can leave a comment right there, right underneath the video. You can also email us with your own case, if it's about video games, movies, books, band, Bible groups, whatever. Any kind. Bible's a book. Any of these geeky subcultures that you have some kind of an issue, a dispute with a friend, a neighbor, a coworker, or just something internal that you're struggling with, talk to your therapist, but then send us an email. Sure. We also have a link where you can fill out a form if writing an email is too hard for you.
And when you're not giving all of your money to the church that you're having, support the Church of Geeks on Trial. $5 a month is all we ask. It's actually not that much money. Just sell one of your Bibles or some of your crosses or whatever, and just give us $5 a month. You gain early access to both our audio and video episodes. Plus, you gain access to Geeks on Trial Sidebar. It comes out twice a month. It's a great fun show. We talk about things. We spin wheels. We do things like that. And also, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, give us 5 stars, hit the bell, share us with your enemies, your church groups, your friends, your minister.
I just saw Pocket Casts, the app, added ratings. You can now rate podcasts in Pocket Casts.
Yeah, so do it. If you use Pocket Casts, Pocket, rate us. I don't know what that means. But hey, when you're not in church on Sundays, what are you doing on the internet?
Well, when I'm not in church on Sundays, I'm doing things on the internet. You can find my website, jonathanestes.com, where you can sign up for my newsletter, follow me on Blue Sky or Letterboxd if you want to read all my movie reviews. That's fun. Is it a bad time to mention I changed my Blue Sky handle? Did we change that link? I'm not going to change Maybe the old one still works. I made myself Quentz again on Blue Sky instead of Jonathan Estes.
Are you trying to hide some stuff?
I don't know. I'm going through like a branding crisis. I don't know what I want to be called anymore. Anyway, your turn. What about you?
I don't have a branding crisis. Everything's Ivan Han or Ivan Arhan all over the internet except YouTube, where it's youtube.com/thesnackguy, where I have a bunch of new videos coming out. I've been recording and editing and getting ready for a bunch of videos to come out all on the internet for you to enjoy coming this September.
Can I plug? No,
I'm sorry. Done, right? My thing is still up. You're covered right now.
I wanted to plug one more thing.
Go ahead.
As my birthday today.
You're right.
The day this episode comes out. Not to date the podcast. Okay. So 2 different days. The day there's a Frosty is $1, right, and my birthday.
And your birthday.
2 different days.
Mm-hmm. How old are you now?
Today.
How old are you now? Like 60?
I just turned 26.
Wow, you look terrible.
Hey, come on.
You look old.
No, I don't.
For 26?
I mean, I do look mature for my age. It's true.
Right.
I don't get carded anymore, which is nice.
That's good. I get
Yeah.
carded for different reasons now.
I'm looking
Well-
forward to 30, I gotta tell you. In 4 years.
Happy birthday to you, my church-going friend.
Shut up.
You old man.
Thanks, everybody, for watching or listening. I'm Jonathan Estes.
Such an old-looking mother. And my name is Ivan Hahn, and we'll catch you next time.